right, everyone, ready to dive in. We're going deep with Marillion today.
Always a good day when we're talking Marillion.
Absolutely. And specifically, we're zeroing in on that time of the night. You know it. It's from Clutching at Straws.
Oh, fantastic choice. That whole album's a trip.
Right. And to guide us, we've got our friends at iGluon Vinyl. They've got this really interesting take on the song, the whole inner meanings thing they like to dig into. Ever get that feeling? You know, it's like 3 a.m., you're staring at the ceiling, and your thoughts are just, going a mile a minute.
Yeah, can't say I'm a stranger to those nights. Clock watching, waiting for the sun to come up.
Right. That's the energy we're tapping into today with Marillion's That Time of the Night. This song doesn't just touch on those late night anxieties. It, dives headfirst into them.
Never just about the literal time of night, is it? There's always something deeper going on.
And that's what has me hooked on iGluon Vinyl's whole approach here. Those inner meanings, what do they hear beneath the surface? They point to the lyrics a lot.
Right, and lyrically, there's a lot to unpack. I mean, you've got lines like, the streetlights paint the shadows long.
Yeah.
So vivid, so evocative.
Oh, yeah, that one always gets me. Paint such a picture in your mind.
But it's more than just a pretty image, right? You get this feeling of paranoia, of being watched almost, which, when you think about the overall vibe of Clutching at Straws, it totally tracks.
It's like that unease just seeps into everything. And the music doesn't let you off the hook either.
Yeah.
Those keyboards, man, every time they kick in, it's like chills.
You said it. It's like stepping into some dark film noir. Eerie, atmospheric, almost unsettling, but in the best way possible.
Exactly. It's like the music itself is another layer of storytelling, echoing these darker emotions in the lyrics.
And that's what's so cool about Marillion, right? They're masters of that interplay between music and lyrics. It's what makes them so immersive.
It's true, and you really appreciate it when you start paying attention to those details. Suddenly, it's not just a song, it's an experience.
Totally. For those who might not know Marillion's deal so much, they were like the kings of neo-progressive rock back in the day.
Yeah.
Super intricate music, poetic lyrics, whole theatrical stage presence.
Exactly. Big time. So picture it, 1987, the band's on top of the world. But even with all that success, things weren't exactly peachy. Relentless touring, band drama, the pressures of fame, it was taking its toll.
Yeah, you can kind of feel that in the air when you listen to the album from that year, Clutching at Straws.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, Clutching at Straws, come on. Talk about a mood.
Talk about relatable. We've all been there, grasping for answers, feeling kind of lost.
Totally. Lost in the shuffle.
And that time of the night, like I said, it just nails that feeling. Fish has actually said that the song was inspired by a real sleepless night he had. Eerie moonlight, racing thoughts, almost like a sense of paranoia, he said.
It's wild because, he called these lyrics his resignation statement once.
Mm-hmm.
And it really wasn't him just singing about restless nights. He was feeling trapped by all of it. By the success, even.
Which is kind of ironic when you think about it. Most people would kill to achieve that level of success. And here he was, longing for something else. It adds a whole other weight to it all when you realize it's not just some made-up character. This was Fish pouring his heart out,
For sure. It's like that flip side of the coin that nobody really talks about. What happens when you get everything you thought you ever wanted and you find out it's not what you needed? It really makes you think about all the things these artists go through behind the curtain.
Absolutely. The sacrifices, the compromises, all that. And then there's this music review we found that adds another layer to it all. The short straw theory.
Oh, yeah, the short straw.
Like the idea that even when you seem successful on the outside, you can still feel like you drew the short straw in life somehow.
And suddenly, you've got all these layers to unpack. You've got Fish's personal struggles, the weight of all that success, and then this idea of fate almost, like maybe life just dealt you a bad hand. I actually think the music adds to all that too.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
There's this melancholy kind of paranoid vibe to it, right? Those minor chords, that haunting keyboard melody, it just gets under your skin.
100%. The music, the lyrics, it all just comes together to create this sonic representation of that 3 a.m. anxiety. Speaking of which, how about that last verse, that whole part about buying around for the companion in madness with the silvery hair? So cryptic.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I've heard that one's about Fish's stage persona, that larger-than-life, almost mythical energy he had. Which makes sense. When you think about it, he was known for that whole, ancient soul thing, so theatrical.
Right, like this magnetic performer.
Exactly. Which, was a huge part of Marillion's allure, but it's also another layer of pressure on Fish, right?
It's almost like he was wrestling with three things at once. Personal demons, the downside of fame, and then his own stage persona on top of it all, which, to be honest, makes it way less surprising that the band was on shaky ground back then. I mean, Steve Rothery, the guitarist, basically said that this period was make or break for them. They weren't on the same page anymore, and then there were those rumors about external pressures, too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like outside forces trying to steer the ship. It makes you wonder if maybe hitting it big was their short straw in a way, you know?
Right. Like they climbed all the way to the top of the mountain only to realize that, wait, this isn't the right mountain.
Exactly. They got what they thought they wanted, and it wound up being more of a burden than a blessing. It's like a Greek tragedy almost.
Total Greek tragedy. You don't know whether to root for them or lock them in separate rooms for their own good.
Right. And to make things even juicier, you've got that whole whispering in ears bit. It's like some Shakespearean drama unfolding, shadowy figures pulling strings behind the scenes. It's a lot to unpack. So where does that leave us? What's the real story behind that time of the night?
I think that's the beauty of art like this. It's not about finding a definitive answer. It's about what it says to you. Everyone's going to come to it with their own baggage, their own late-night anxieties.
That's a good point. Maybe it's not even about one specific thing, you know? What if the song is actually tapping into something universal? That feeling of being a little lost, a little unsure, wondering if you made the right call, wondering if you somehow ended up with the short end of the stick.
Maybe it's all of that. Or maybe it's something else entirely.
Who knows? But it's definitely something to chew on next time you find yourself up late, listening to Marillion, lost in thought. All right, listeners, it's your turn. We're about to drop the needle on That Time of the Night with iGlue on Vinyl. As you listen, think about what resonates with you. What inner meanings do you find in this Marillion classic? Let's keep this musical conversation going.